What if I told you that the calmest man in history ruled the most chaotic empire ever known? Imagine this: you are the emperor of Rome. A plague is killing your people. Enemies surround your borders. Your own generals whisper betrayal behind your back. Every sunrise brings a new disaster, and every night the empire threatens to fall apart. The weight of millions rests on your shoulders alone. And yet there sits Marcus Aurelius, not panicking, not breaking, but quietly writing in his journal, "If you are troubled by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your estimate of it." How is that possible? How does a man surrounded by war, disease, corruption, and uncertainty remain completely calm, while most of us feel stressed just checking our phones? The answer lies in 8 ancient techniques, mental tools. Marcus Aurelius used to stay centered, focused, and unshakably strong, even when Rome itself was collapsing. And today you're going to discover every one of them. Not as dusty philosophies from the past, but as powerful strategies you can use right now to take back control of your mind, your stress, and your life. Technique 1. The pause before reaction. In a world where most of us react before we even think, Marcus Aurelius mastered something incredibly rare: the ability to pause. And this pause didn't just calm him, it saved an empire. Imagine this moment: a crisis meeting in the imperial war room. Tension thick, generals shouting, advisors pacing. Then a messenger bursts in panic in his voice. "Caesar, a Roman province, has revolted." The room explodes. Maps slam shut, weapons rattle, men curse the gods. But Marcus does something shocking. He closes his eyes, takes one breath, then another, and quietly says, "First, let us make sure the news is true." That one pause changed everything, because 72% of human stress reactions, according to modern cognitive research, are exaggerated responses to incomplete information. Marcus figured that out. Funny to 1-800 years before psychology existed. Say it with me: pause. Then choose. This technique wasn't weakness. It was power. Stoics believed that the moment between stimulus and response is where freedom lives. Viktor Frankl echoed this thousands of years later when he said, "Between stimulus and response, there is a space. In that space lies our power to choose." Marcus understood this deeply. He wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." And the pause gave him access to that power. But here's where it becomes practical and useful for you. Think of the last time you reacted instantly. A message that triggered you, a disagreement that escalated, a notification that sparked anxiety. Most stress today is not caused by events, but by instant reactions without reflection. So Marcus practiced a simple drill, one you can use right now: the rule of 3 breaths. Before you respond to anything stressful, breathe in, hold, release. Only then decide what to do. This resets your nervous system. It drops cortisol. It increases clarity. And it prevents emotional decisions, the kind that destroy relationships, careers, and peace of mind. Reset moment. Take a breath with me. In, hold, release. Good. Now imagine if every leader today practiced this. Imagine if you practiced this for just 1 week. Your life would change. Because the pause is not about doing nothing. It's about choosing not to let emotions choose for you. Marcus wasn't calm because his world was peaceful. He was calm because his mind was trained. And this was only the first of his ancient techniques. The next one will expand your perspective in a way that almost feels supernatural. Stay with me. Technique 2 may change how you see every problem in your life. Technique 2, the view from above. If Technique 1 gave Marcus control over his reactions, Technique 2 gave him something even greater: control over his perspective. And perspective for a Stoic is everything. Now imagine this: Marcus Aurelius is standing on a battlefield. Dust rises, shields clash. The cries of soldiers echo across the plain. A messenger races toward him, shouting updates from the front line. But Marcus does something unexpected. He looks upward, not physically, but in his mind. He envisions himself rising above the battlefield, above the camps, above the mountains, until Rome itself becomes a small dot on the earth. This mental technique, the view from above, was one of Marcus's greatest tools. And it wasn't poetic. It was practical neuroscience long before neuroscience existed. Because the moment you rise above a problem, its emotional weight collapses. Marcus wrote, "Consider how small all human things are." Seneca echoed this by saying, "We suffer more in imagination than in reality." Perspective shrinks stress. Every time. Let me reset your attention. Take a slow breath. In, hold, release. Now picture your own life from above. That argument you had last week. That deadline that feels impossible. That person who disappointed you. From the height of a mountain, do they look the same? From the height of the stars, and do they matter in the same way? Modern cognitive studies show that when people visualize themselves from a distant perspective, emotional reactivity drops by up to 44%. Marcus discovered this 900 years early. Here's a practical exercise he might give you, the 30-second ascension. Close your eyes and imagine lifting above your situation. First 10 seconds, rise above the room you're in. Next, 10, above your city. Last 10, above the earth itself. Now ask, is this still worth my suffering? Most of the time the answer is no. Because when you zoom out, life becomes clearer. And the things that once felt overwhelming become manageable, even insignificant. Marcus practiced this before major decisions, before battles, before delivering harsh judgments. It protected him from the trap that captures most of us, believing that the moment we're in is the entire story. But it's not. Your life is bigger than your current stress. Your purpose is larger than your current frustration, and your perspective determines your peace. Remember this line from Marcus. All is ephemeral, both the remembered and the remembering. If everything is temporary, then stress is too. This was technique 2, but technique 3 goes even deeper because it doesn't just change your perspective. It changes your internal voice, the one responsible for most of your suffering. Stay with me, the next part may completely rewrite how you talk to yourself. Technique 3, command your inner dialogue. If there is one enemy more dangerous than war, betrayal, or disease, it is the voice inside your own mind. Marcus Aurelius knew this, and he mastered it. Imagine him late at night. The empire is quiet, the torches burn low, everyone is asleep, except Marcus. He sits alone with a wooden tablet in front of him, writing not to inspire the world, not to be remembered, but to confront his own mind. Because he understood a truth most people never realize. Your inner voice is either your greatest ally or your greatest enemy. And Marcus refused to let his become an enemy. He wrote, "The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts," meaning what you repeatedly tell yourself becomes who you are. Let's reset your attention. Deep breath, in, hold, release. Now imagine Marcus reviewing the events of the day. An advisor insulted him. A general questioned his judgment. A diplomat brought terrible news. Most rulers would lash out. Most people today would spiral. But Marcus would ask himself one question, a question that could change your life if you embrace it. Is this worth being disturbed by? Modern psychology confirms what Marcus discovered 900 years ago. Over 80% of our daily stress comes not from reality, but from the story we tell ourselves about reality. Say it with me. Challenge the story. Marcus constantly corrected himself. Is this thought mine, or is it caused by fear? Is this feeling true or just a reaction? Does this help me live as a better human being? This practice is something we now call cognitive reframing, a therapeutic technique proven to reduce anxiety and emotional distress by up to 51%. But Marcus wasn't waiting for research. He was doing it alone by candlelight in silence. Here's a practical exercise inspired by him, the Stoic thought audit. 1 minute. Whenever you feel stressed, write down what happened, what you told yourself about it, whether that story is true or just emotional noise. You'll be shocked by how often the story is false. Reset again. Breathe in, hold, release. Marcus believed the mind should obey you, not the other way around. He said, you have power over your mind, not outside events. So if the mind is truly yours, why let it insult you? Why let it scare you? Why let it replay worst-case scenarios that never happen? Remember this, if you do not command your inner dialogue, someone else will fear your past or your insecurity. This was technique 3, but Marcus didn't stop there. He went further. He prepared himself mentally for every difficulty before it even arrived. And that leads us into technique 4, Negative visualization, a psychological shield used by emperors and philosophers alike. Stay with me. This one is powerful. Technique 4, negative visualization. What if I told you that Marcus Aurelius stayed calm not by avoiding fear, but by walking straight into it every morning? The most peaceful emperor in history began each day by imagining everything that could go wrong. Not out of pessimism, but preparation. Picture Marcus waking before sunrise. The palace quiet, Rome still sleeping. He sits, closes his eyes and says, "Today you will meet ungrateful men, arrogant men, deceitful men." An unusual ritual for an emperor. But Marcus wasn't predicting disaster. He was building emotional immunity. Modern psychology calls this defensive realism, a technique that increases emotional resilience by 32 to 45%. The Stoics discovered it 2,000 years earlier. Let's reset. Inhale, hold, exhale. Now imagine what Marcus faced: daily advisors, arguing generals challenging him, senators spreading rumors, thousands demanding justice. Any one of these could break a lesser man, but Marcus had already lived them in his mind. Seneca said he suffers more than necessary who suffers before it is necessary. Marcus added another truth: he suffers less who prepares before suffering arrives. Think about your own life. How often does stress come from being caught off guard? Someone snaps at you. Plans fall apart. People disappoint you. But what if you expected these things as a normal part of life? What if you entered each day prepared instead of shocked? Try this exercise. The morning shield. Say to yourself, someone may interrupt me. Someone may disagree. Something may not go to plan. But none of these can harm my character. This reduces expectation shock, one of the biggest causes of emotional pain. Reset with me. Slow breath in, hold, release. Marcus wrote, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." Negative visualization didn't make him fearful. It made him unbreakable. And now we move to technique 5, a Stoic superpower, focusing only on what you can control. This technique alone may reduce more stress than all the others combined. Stay with me. We're about to go even deeper. Technique 5, focus only on what you control. What if nearly all the stress in your life comes from trying to control things that were never yours to control? Marcus Aurelius understood this better than anyone. Picture him in his war tent, a plague spreading across Rome, floods destroying farmland, enemy armies gathering, generals arguing. Any ordinary leader would be overwhelmed. But Marcus sits calmly, draws a line down a wax tablet, and writes on one side, "What I can control," and on the other, "What I cannot." Modern psychology confirms what he already knew. Separating these two categories can reduce stress by up to 63%. Let's reset. Inhale, hold, exhale. Marcus wrote, "The universe is change. Our life is what our thoughts make it." He couldn't control disease, weather, betrayal, or enemies. But he could control his judgment, his decisions, his discipline, his character. Say it with me: control the controllable. Now think about your own life. Traffic, people's opinions, unexpected problems, the economy, someone else's mood. None of these belong to you. And the Stoics taught that suffering begins the moment you attempt to control what isn't yours. Try this exercise, the 2-column clarity drill. When stressed, divide a page. On the left, write what you can control. On the right, what you cannot. Then release everything on the right. Reset again. Deep breath. In. Hold. Release. Marcus wrote, "Do not waste what remains of your life in imagining troubles." Instead, he focused only on what was within his power. And that made him unshakable. Imagine the power you would gain if you did the same. Effort instead of outcome. Intention instead of reaction. Habits instead of chaos. Marcus ruled an empire not because he controlled everything, but because he controlled himself. And now we move into technique 6, a technique that pulls your mind back from anxiety, fear, and future worries into the only moment that truly exists, the present. Stay with me. Technique 6 is a turning point. Technique 6, return to the present moment. What if the present moment, this exact moment, is the only place where stress cannot survive? Marcus Aurelius believed that, and he returned to this truth again and again throughout his life. Picture him during one of the darkest nights of his reign. The plague spreading armies, failing senators, whispering betrayal, the empire trembling. Marcus steps outside his tent into the cold night air. He looks up at the stars and says softly, "The present moment is all you ever lose." He knew that stress lives in the past or the future, but never in the now. Let's reset. Deep breath. In, hold, release. Marcus understood that every what if dragged him away from the only moment he could actually live in. So he grounded himself in breath, in sensation, in awareness. He wrote, "Do every act of your life as if it were your last," not to inspire drama, but to sharpen presence. Modern research shows that present moment awareness reduces anxiety by up to 58% and quiets the brain regions responsible for overthinking. Marcus discovered this long before science did. Try this with me. Notice your breath. Notice your hands. Notice the sounds around you. For this one moment, nothing is attacking you. Nothing is collapsing. You are safe. Say it with me, only the present is real. Most stress comes from abandoning the present, regretting yesterday, fearing tomorrow, imagining disasters that never arrive. Marcus warned, you must stop your mind from wandering through all of time. Here's a simple technique, the 10-second anchor. When anxiety hits, take one breath and name 3 things you can sense right now. This instantly shifts your brain toward presence. Reset again, one more breath. In, hold, release. Marcus survived betrayal, war, disease, and political chaos, not because he predicted the future, but because he returned to the present moment again and again. And now we move into Technique 7, a technique rooted in service. Because Marcus believed the fastest way to escape stress is to stop focusing on yourself. Stay with me. Technique 7 may surprise you. Technique 7, serve others. What if the fastest way to escape your own stress is to stop thinking about yourself? Marcus Aurelius believed this, and he practiced it every day. Picture him exhausted, sleepless, burdened by plague, war, and political chaos. His advisors urge him to rest, but instead Marcus walks into the public square to serve his people. He listens to disputes, offers justice, comforts families. Because he understood that when you serve others, you step out of your own suffering. Let's reset, inhale, hold, release. Modern research shows that helping others reduces stress hormones by up to 22%. But Marcus didn't need research. Service was his anchor in the storm. He wrote, "What is your purpose? To be good. And men exist for the sake of one another." Most stress comes from focusing too much on ourselves, our fears, our problems, our deadlines. But when you shift your attention outward, your stress shrinks because your world expands. Say it with me, service creates strength. Imagine Marcus sitting beside a grieving family who lost a loved one to the plague. He cannot stop death, but he can offer presence, compassion, guidance, and in giving comfort, he finds peace himself. Try this exercise, the 2-minute service rule. Once a day, offer a small act of service. Send encouragement, help a coworker share something useful, ask someone how you can support them. The effect lasts far longer than the effort. Reset, slow breath. In, hold, out. Marcus wrote, "The fruit of this life is good character and acts for the common good." Service is not sacrifice, it is stability. It is purpose. It is alignment with what it means to be human. And now this path of service leads us straight into Marcus's final and most profound technique, one that gave meaning to every breath he took, Memento Mori. Remember, you will die. Stay with me. The final technique may change the way you live your life. Technique 8, Memento Mori. What if the most liberating truth in your life is the one you fear the most? Marcus Aurelius faced this truth every day, and it made him unstoppable. Picture him in his final years. The empire collapsing, armies, rebelling, plague spreading, his body weakening. One evening he asked his physician, "How much time do I have?" The room falls silent, but Marcus smiles. He already knows the answer. He wrote it over and over. You could leave life right now. Let that determine what you do, say, and think. This was his final and greatest technique, Memento Mori. Remember, you will die, not to inspire fear, but to create absolute clarity. Let's reset, inhale, hold, release. Modern psychology now confirms what Marcus understood: people who are aware of mortality live with greater purpose, focused gratitude, and far less regret. Death awareness isn't darkness, it's illumination. When you remember life is limited, priorities sharpen, petty concerns dissolve, fear shrinks, stress evaporates. Think of the things that usually upset you: arguments, opinions, minor inconveniences. If you had a year left, would they matter? A month, a week? Marcus wrote, do not act as if you had 10,000 years to live. And just that, you do the right thing. The rest doesn't matter. Imagine Marcus in his final days surrounded by generals, pale, fading, yet completely calm, because he lived awake. He lived aligned with virtue. He lived without wasting time. Say it with me. Memento Mori gives meaning to life. Try the mortality mirror. Each morning ask, if today were my last day, what would truly matter? Then live accordingly. Reset, slow breath. In, hold, exhale. Memento Mori is not about death. It is about living deeply, intentionally, and honestly. Marcus Aurelius faced the end, not with terror, but with dignity, because he lived a life he was proud of. And now the question is yours. Will you drift through your days, or will you live awake? These were the 8 ancient techniques Marcus used to remain calm in chaos. But stay with me, one final message remains a message Marcus would whisper to you if he were here now. Marcus Aurelius ruled during plague, war, betrayal, and chaos, yet he stayed calm. Not because he was superhuman, but because he trained his mind. And now you have the same techniques he used to lead an empire from the edge of collapse back into stability. If this video helped you find even a moment of clarity, imagine what mastering more Stoic tools could do for your life. Like this video, share it with someone who needs calm. Subscribe to Making Life Better for more life-changing Stoic wisdom. And now, your turn. Comment just one word below that will shape your mindset today. Calm, yes, just type calm. It's a commitment, a reminder, a declaration to yourself and to the world that you choose clarity over chaos. And remember Marcus's words, you have power over your mind, not outside events. Use it well.